Well, howdy, y'all. Welcome to another electrifying episode of the High Voltage Live Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder, coming to you live from the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. I'm joined by my awesome co-host, Mr. King James Stallcup, over there in Big Sky Country, Texas. Give him a hook 'em horns over here from the Mile High City. And he is representing the Stallcup Electrical Education, the #1 online publication out there. And look already, we got David Engelhardt up in the house. Good evening, David. Thanks for joining. And coming for some revenge, the 7-time champ.
You don't want none of this, baby.
Oh man, got a tiebreaker tonight, man. Tiebreakers in the house.
Oh hell, there you go.
We're not gonna have any tie tonight. Somebody's gonna get the win tonight. So I even brought a couple tiebreakers just in case, you know. So
all right, cool.
Oh yeah, so I brought it's gonna be easy. That's why I'm kind of worried, because it's so easy that you're gonna go 5 for 5, and so then I got to make sure, you know, that you can come through with the crusher, because I know you're pretty much gonna know my tiebreaker questions, you know, because you always end up somehow knowing them. But you know, you never know. I mean, like I say, Daniel could have his good luck too. I want to say thank you so much for everyone. NEC Code just blew up off the charts. Looks like I'm gonna have 1,000 posts tonight. So it's funny. One of the guys I was working with, he shows me a spring nut, you know. And he's like, "What do you call this?" I'm like, "A spring nut." Then he rips the spring off. He's like, "What do you call it now?" I was like, "I don't know. It's still a spring nut with the spring taken off, you know." And so it's pretty funny. And so then he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "We call it a strut nut, you know." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I rarely use them without the spring, you know. Yeah. Like usually we still use the spring. We just cut it for like the shallow strut, so it fits in the shallow strut. Mm-hmm. And so it's really funny, and he goes, I said something like, "Yeah, I bet you I could post that on Facebook. I bet you everyone will go crazy." And oh man, sure enough, here comes the ECD boys. Oh man, everyone that says that's a spring nut is our industry screwed. Our intelligence is screwed in the industry and all this. I was like, it says spring nut on the box. It just doesn't have a spring, you know, but. It's pretty funny. It's funny to get all controversial and stuff and get all them boys all fired up.
I had a post that went out just showing, what was it? I can't remember what it was. But I was showing a calculation on something, and I had a note in there that a raceway is anything over 24 inches. I got this Eric Collier. I'm going to tell you, you need to go back to school, son. I mean, he's telling me nowhere in the code. He literally made this comment. Now, everybody's got to hear this. He said, if I have a 10-foot piece of conduit, I cut an inch off on it, it now becomes a nipple. I said, you got to freaking be kidding me. I told him, I said, hopefully you're not a journeyman or master electrician and actually believe that. I said, and then I pointed him over to Chapter 9, Table 1, Note 4, and I said, it says a conduit or tubing nipple, not over 24 inches. He argued, he goes, where does it say anything about it can't be over 24 inches? I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, they even have a table, Chapter 9, Table 4, that has a 60% column. That's the most you can fill. Anything over
26 inches, it becomes a raceway.
I just sat there. I mean, his arguing and things. He said, he goes, you need to learn the English language. Apparently, your comprehension isn't good. I said, no. I said, I just finally, I got to where I'm not even going to argue with people like that. He's part of that ECD group, and for them to argue that one point. I've been doing this for 45 years now. And even when I was going through my apprenticeship, they said a nipple is 24 inches or less. Anything over that's a raceway. So you're going to tell me now all of a sudden, 40 years of people been teaching it this way, all of us are wrong, and you're the moral authority right now, and you're the one that's correct, you and the boys over at ECD. It just
No,
amazes me.
you're right about moral authority, and a big shout out to John Harris. He was like totally defending us and saying, like telling Jeremy that he needs to give it a rest. He's like, Weed man, give it a rest. He's like, you're not the moral authority on anything, because he's saying he's trying to stop apprentices from wasting their money. It's like, it's not a fucking waste of money, like. If we're providing good content and you're enjoying it, if there's something we're wrong about, let us know. Like, these guys, they just want to like push their agenda. They are like, if they are wrong about this, then they're wrong about that. The code is not a bunch of rule. It's not a big rule book. The code book is a guideline to help us, have a safe, compliant installation. You can't just sit there and read one code and say it applies to all this stuff,
Oh, no. And I'm going to give a good example. I come out with the learning management system, right? As soon as I do, we have a podcast about it. Jeremy shows up. I ain't heard from him 2 or 3 months. Now, all of a sudden, since this is out and everything, and everybody's sent, and I trust me, I'm getting all kind of messages from people. Thank you so much. I appreciate a lot. I'm even getting or messages from apprenticeships, junior colleges, community colleges. A lot of stuff's happening, and it's keeping me really busy. But as soon as I put that out, what starts happening on the groups? They start all of a sudden, these odd anonymous people start coming on. It's never posted anything, and they're showing studying out of my code's book, using Tom Henry's, using with Paul Abernathy. These posts are all now coming out saying this is what you should use and everything. And it's all these people that are coming in. They don't want people to see what's out there. They're simping for those guys. And it proves it, because when does it come out? Right when this comes out. And it just goes and proves. And anytime we've done anything, that's right, David. That's exactly right.
And the thing,
since the 1980s, I was taught that.
And they've been even attacking David Englehart for coming to our show and stuff. I showed you screenshots of that, saying, "Hey, David dipshit," and all this stuff.
They call him that. He's a good guy, man. I can't believe.
Yeah, and it's so stupid, because it's like it's just because we don't agree with some of the things, and like, that's fine. If you have a problem with something, then whatever, that's fine. It's not going to change like the whole record of it's not going to change the whole body of work that you've built like for the last 45 years, and you and your dad have built it together. So for them to sit there and say you're riding on your dad's coattails is, I think, kind of a stupid thing. And then, they're not trying to take one publication and try to show something better, like exactly what we've been saying. I told you that something's coming better. We just haven't seen it yet. So I want you to be prepared for that. I just want you to be ready. But so far, they won't take a publication, like, they won't take, like, let's say, for example, let's go on 404.2C1, which is probably going to change in 2026. But let's just say you have to have a neutral and switch box, Mm-hmm. Like the way you have it set up, you show the color of the wires, you're pointing to the right conductors and everything, and, it's like they won't show that exact, publication of Paul, because Paul doesn't have one, like they won't show anybody else's,
Well, I don't.
Yeah, David, it's just ridiculous, and I think they got on David something about, he was in like an inspectors group, and he said something about like a transformer or something, and they just freaked out. They were, they do that. They just get that mob mentality, and they're like, this guy's running this group, and this is what he says in an inspectors group, and this guy's a moron, and all this stuff. And I just ignored it, David. I just said, I don't even want to see it. I don't even care, because I know how they are. And if you say one thing wrong, like everyone's in here to try to learn. You know, we all want to learn. Nobody knows everything, you know. And they're like, oh, the whole industry says you're an idiot. I said, well, that's fine. I was like, kind of screwed up that idiot's always proving you guys wrong, you know. Like,
Well,
I mean,
what got me is when they they come on and actually call Dad an idiot and a moron. And here's a guy that has received industry awards from IEEE, UL, NF. I'm talking the biggest of the biggest. He's been chairman of code making panels, chairman of standards. I mean, he has done so much in electrical and received so many awards. And for you to come in and call that guy when you hadn't achieved anything or done anything for the industry, except for other than maybe teach at a local apprenticeship, and here he spent all his own money, didn't work for a company, he didn't work for, an association that was paying their way to go to this stuff. He paid his own way and everything to go there and still chaired everything. And then they come in and say he's an idiot moron. That shows you how ridiculous they are when it comes to the mob mentality, like you're talking about, and them trying to claim that they're the moral authority on what should be because somebody disagrees with them. And that's the truth. That's just
well,
fact.
and the thing is, what's funny is when you have guys from NFPA calling your dad, going, "Hey, they need to back off on this podcast," and we're right. You know, like that, to me, that's a dangerous thing to have the NEC override the manufacturer instructions. Now, there's cases where I could see the manufacturer instructions say don't install on a GFCI, and is that a refrigerator receptacle? No, it's a freaking kitchen receptacle.
Let me explain this so everybody understands. I, this is actually someone that deals with attorney cases. I mean,
Right.
my dad has been the special expert for OSHA on cases, and I was his alternate. So I've been through some of the biggest law firms in the country here in Texas. I've been in Alabama, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut. I mean, I've been all over the country. They brought me in, and it's usually a big case when they bring me in on something. And I've even done cases where we gone in and we did a listing and labeling case. So I know what I'm talking about when I say this. This is not hearsay. I'm telling you what's going to happen. If NFPA, and I hope NFPA is watching this, because I'm trying to explain what's going to happen. And I'm just going to give an example. Let's say a manufacturer comes in, because we actually had Linux calls, or they actually called and talked to Dad, and Dad told him, he goes, just put in your manufacturer's instructions, get it listed and labeled it, no GFCI protection on that AC unit. He goes, you override the NEC. They go, we can do that. And he said, hell yeah, you can. That's because we've already done cases like that. We know what we're talking about. So let's say that I've got an AC unit sitting out there outside on residential, and they tell you not to put a GFCI on. Okay. Now, they just had in the code, and I hope, Jeremy, all y'all watching this, because I'm going to say it where you can understand it. Okay.
And a big shout out to everyone over on Rumble. We have 4 live on Rumble, so big shout out to you over on Rumble. Don't forget to like and subscribe to.
Oh yeah, always like and subscribe to our stuff. We appreciate that. We don't, we don't say that enough, But
I know.
If they put that in their manufacturer's instructions, now they just had the code making panel 1 and 110.3b. They literally put in their substantiation and what they wrote in new one that the NEC overrides the listing and labeling in the manufacturer's instructions. Okay. Now, I know that. Okay. So if I'm representing somebody and let's say they say don't put GFCI on that, and let's say it causes the Class A device to trip, okay, and it's during summer, and then you got an old person there and they die of heat exhaustion, there's going to be a lawsuit. Okay. Now, what's going to happen is when it goes to court, they're going to go in and the manufacturer will go out and look and say, We told them not to put that on the GFCI device, and this is one of the reasons we told them not to do it, because we had no issues with our equipment whatsoever, that this was a code-making panel issue they put out there and tried to say it needed to have Class A GFCI protection on it. So then they're going to absolve themselves is what's going to happen. So they're going to be looking at this point, who else has money. And it doesn't matter. I'm telling you how attorneys operate. They're going for the companies that have money. They're going to look, and they're going to have an expert like me, and I hope you're listening, FX. I'm telling you what will happen. They ask me, I know what was written in there. I'm going to say, you need to go after NFPA. And they're going to say, well, ain't they just a regulatory? I'm going to say, yeah, but they have code-making panels that made the statement that the NEC overrides that manufacturer's instructions. So in my opinion, which will go to court and there will be a back and forth on this, but basically I would contend that the NEC took responsibility for that equipment because they told us that it override what the manufacturer who had the responsibility for that equipment. And then, hold on.
Sorry.
Then it's going to go, and then they're going to look at the city. And the city they're going to look at, and they're going to say, why did you want GFCI protection on it? Did you even check? Because then they're going to say, they're going to ask C, do you agree that GFCI protection should be on there when the manufacturer tells you not to? And if they say, yeah, the NEC says that, and that's what we adopt, then they're going to look at it, and then they're going to say, well, are you trying to say that you don't care what the manufacturer's instructions state, even though it goes through a regulatory process? And then they're going to look at it. And if I was a contractor, I would get in writing from the jurisdiction, I'd say, you want me to put GFCI protection. Any contractors watching this is what I do. You give me a letter stating.
That's what I was actually going to ask you, so I'm glad you kept it going.
Yeah, and I'd say, you asked me at this point to do this. I want it in writing here with y'all stating that you want GFCI protection on that. Because I'm telling you, the manufacturer's instructions state not to. Now you've got a problem there, because if something happened and the city signed off on it, they become responsible. I'm not trying to put fear out there. I'm telling you what happens in a court of law and what they look at, and they'll take every means necessary. So if I'm an attorney, this is my question to you, Bill. As a city, did you sign off on this saying that you override the manufacturer's instructions and required this contractor to put GFCI protection on that? I've got the bill of receipt here. It says that y'all stated that city. Did y'all do that? Yes.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
right.
we
as a jury, what do you think the jury's going to say?
We call it a code compliant installation because that's what the directive that we're given. And I think it's interesting because the directive right now is that they're given the directive to not follow the code language so that we can make sure that the equipment's compatible. One of the big ones is GFPE, or I say GFPE, but EBSE, because EBSE comes with integral GFPE protection. And this is the funny thing. This equipment is code compliant 100% of the world. And they've never had an incident yet in the whole entire world on EBSE. But Code Making Panel 12 thinks that, no, you know what? We need to go ahead and expand 62554, and we need to put Class A device on all this. And to me, the thing that's stupid is when you're going with a SP GFCI, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know where to find one. I haven't tried to look for one, but I don't even know where to find an SP GFCI, you know. And I'm sure you could find them, but it's like they're putting these products into code that possibly don't exist, like with the high frequency. Maybe that works, but it's not even invented yet. It doesn't even exist yet. And the SP GFCI, which is a really high expensive product that when you talk, it could increase the cost of a job by 100,000. Now, if that's if that's a vital life safety component, yeah, I 100% agree. But me and King James have shown that all of this hazard is a total false narrative. It's from an event that happened in 2007 where somebody was killed on by misuse of equipment. It was so like if you're sitting there saying, "Hey, somebody died on an AC unit in there," well, oh, what'd they do? They're using a hatchet on it. Well, yeah, they probably shouldn't do that because the code can't cover that. The code can't say do not use a hatchet on your AC unit. Yeah, exactly. That's misuse of equipment. And then the whole other thing is that it was miswired and it didn't have an equipment ground. And so you're telling me that a 15, 20 foot piece of ground wire could have saved a kid's life? Yeah, 100%. That's fine, but that has no bearing on this whole GFCI thing and this whole hazard. And like when you sit there and ask them about it, they'll say, "Oh, well, it's in case the metallic frame becomes energized." Well, yeah, in 2007, everything was metallic frame. Now, almost no utilization equipment's metallic frame. It's all made out of plastic now. So how's the plastic going to become energized? It's just this whole thing pushing this narrative and pushing this false hazard. Now they're going to have a new definition outlet for 2026. Now your EVSE is going to be an outlet now, and that's fine. But how was it? It was never an outlet before. How are they going to push that through? It's crazy. To me, it blew me away. Like I was floored on 62554. They were all your public inputs are going to fail, and wow, that one. Just adding one word just expanded so much for one reference. So,
well,
you're welcome, America.
Let me state this. I'm not so sure that is going to stick.
I don't think so either.
And I'm going to give an example of this. When you remember they went in the last cycle and they were posting stuff at a TIA for this and everything, and they said this proves you're wrong, and I said I think you might ought to hold off on that because it's gonna have to go before the Standards Council. And see, I went over and I was looking here. The
biggest thing that you have to look at is with the 210.8F. I don't even see why it's still a TIA in like 3 different code cycles, but it got pushed as a TIA in 2020 because like King James was saying that elderly people were losing their life because they couldn't get up and reset the GFCI when they were nuisance tripping, and like all these jurisdictions like stood up and said, "Nah, we can't have this. You guys need to make sure it's compatible." And they said, "Oh, we're gonna force the manufacturers to make it compatible by January 1st, 2023." And King James was like, "Yeah, right. That ain't happening." And they said, No, September 30th, 2026. And that ain't happening. So, like the whole thing is that these are not going to be compatible by those dates. And that's why I submitted my public comments and my public inputs for 2026 to be like, why are you still trying to push this into the code when it's not even going to be compatible January 1st, 2026 when this goes into effect?
This has been what I've been getting into and everything, trying to understand where they're exactly going with everything. Because as I've looked at the documents and stuff, I'm not sure exactly what it is they're doing. Because I looked over there and you sent me that thing on what the proposed that was going to happen, with Don Gennari. Well, I went over and I re-looked at everything, and I cannot find where that's coming from.
See, that's what was happening with me. Was I was going over and looking too, and there's a lot of things that hasn't changed since the second draft meetings, and I don't know where they think this stuff's like changing or it's.
Well,
like,
I was trying to see if there was a TIA or something, and I went through the first part, and then for the first draft, and then I looked at the second draft of co-making panel 1, and they've got their notices, agendas, and stuff here in their minutes, and then they got the second draft ballot. And when I go over and look, I can't find anything on any TIAs or anything that's in here that is. Here's ballots down here. Okay. Let's see when these were put in. I just found these.
Because that's one thing I should have looked at the ballots too.
So I guess it's 7561. So these were down at the bottom. Let's see here. Here's co-making panel. So co-making panel 1. So you got preliminaries. All of these are 1695. So here's the final. So let's look and see if that's what it is dealing with here. This deals with, man, this thing's really written. It says the public comment circulations passed, therefore, the final results show this TIA has not achieved the 3/4 majority needed for ballot item number 1. So I'm not even sure. They're not even showing you what it goes to. I'd have to find the exact ballot number and see what it pertains to. 60. Oh, it's okay. That's 110.14. Okay, so 110.14. I'm looking at co-making panel 1. That's only TIAs that are out. I don't even know where they're getting this from.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean,
they get real live content on here being searched as you're watching the podcast.
Yeah. So we'll have some continuing coverage on the 2026, kind of what's going on. The thing that I'm gonna say about a big shout out to all the badass electricians out there. All we care about is what's gonna affect us. And the thing is, I don't see 210.8F affecting us for a really long time. Like, I just don't see it being able to be pushed through. And I really was saddened by, me going through, pushing all these.
What are you doing?
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
You there?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what's happening.
I hear you. Anyway.
But I was really saddened by all these different public comments and public inputs that I pushed through, and they're just gonna do what they're gonna do, so.
Well, you know how I am on everything, and I look at things through the spectrum of what is put in as I'm looking at the code and stuff that they're pushing everything, and that's why when you sent that over to me, I'd never seen a document that looked like that. And I was like, where the hell did that come from? I've never seen that before. And we were talking about it. I said, I'm going to do some research on that. And I could never find anything on it. I think it's somebody that's submitting something and they're trying to drive something forward so they can try to get something passed is what I think it has to do with. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, the code-making panel has already voted. And what was in there at the time that it come in is basically the new definition is stating that it connects to utilization equipment and outlet. And that causes a problem. So that was voted on pass. So now it has to go to TIA. You just can't randomly just put something in because you want it there. It has to go. And then once it gets to TIA, there's going to be people looking at it. They're going to argue. Then it's going to go to the technical coordinating committee, and then it goes to the standards council, and that's where it gets argued.
All right.
So,
all right. Well, we'll go to the meme, delayed meme this week.
All right. Let's roll it.
Dude, that shit is so funny though. Like, how many times have you, like, do I just use a hacksaw or do I go try to do it easy? And like, by the time you realize that it takes too long to find a bandsaw, you probably would have just been better to do it with the hacksaw. But
yeah,
I have my own personal bandsaw. Like, they said if you get your own personal bandsaw, we'll buy you blades. I was like, that's all I need to hear. I'll give me all the blades I need, and I'd rather use my own than have to go look for one. So
yeah, I always like the bandsaw. It's much easier.
Yeah, and even if somebody wants to use it, I'm like, hell yeah, just go get me a blade if it breaks,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But that's where I'm at with it. But I really appreciate everyone joining. It's so much fun doing these every week, and like I say, means a lot. Everyone's showing up every week, and so it's a lot of fun.
Well, let's go ahead and let's roll out the myth of the week.
It's time for Myth of the Week.
All right.
Well, thanks so much, everyone, for the participation this week. Myth of the Week on NEC Code. It was a lot of fun. I really had a good time. And this is actually a myth that was coming up from some people that said that they felt that the only... You got the slide out there?
Yeah, you don't see it?
I still got it.
You don't see the slide?
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Alright, maybe I'm behind. Alright. So, anyway, so the myth of the week this week comes from somebody that said they thought that only fixture whips were permitted to be unsupported at 6 foot or less. And I thought it was pretty funny. I thought it was pretty comical. I was like, yeah, I don't see where that comes from. Because you have like so many different wiring methods that permit you to be unsupported. And we even looked up like the job specs, and they're like, yeah, no wiring method, flexible wiring method to a motor unsupported less than 6 foot. So pretty much the job specs aligned with the NEC. That's why I decided to run it. And like I say, a lot of the 6 foot rule stuff gets kind of confusing. And I've already talked to you about this, James. We've already done myths about this before. That we were on one job, and the guy says you can't run longer than 6 foot of flexible, wiring method. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, you got to be within 6 foot from the box. I'm like, no, you don't. I was like, you can run it 10, 15 foot all you want as long as you pull it ground. So we actually ran that myth, and that one was pretty good. And like I say, I really like doing this myth of the week because we run across this one's actually, one of the more easier ones to do because, are you sitting there saying that you can't run EMT 6 foot unsupported? You can't run RMC 6 foot unsupported? There's a lot of different wiring methods out there. It would just be ridiculous to make that statement. So this one, from my standpoint, is busted, and I'll get your take on it. See what you.
Well, there was only one thing to put there, and that was exception 4. And going over, just as one, because dealing with flexible metal conduit, and it literally says, lengths not exceeding 6 foot from the last point where the raceway is securely fastened for connection when the accessible ceiling, the luminaires, or other equipment. And that's where it gets in. Then you get back to the grounding and you go look over at 250.118 Prin 6 and pick up the grounding on that and everything like we did previously. So there wasn't really much to put in here. I could go back and forth with this, but to me it was pretty basic. What you can and can't do. So I just sort of kept it right there, put exception 4, and that, in my opinion, takes care of it.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you start your topic,
Okay.
and I'm gonna have to bounce out for a minute, and I'll be right back in.
Okay, no worries. Okay, this week what we're going to look at is doing our correction adjustment factors. And the reason I did this, I've been getting a lot of calls and messages from people, and they were sort of wanting to see, a basic example of what the text looks like and the step by step, how you go about performing these calculations and everything. So I thought, okay, well, this would be a perfect time to do this, especially since everything's out now and up on the learning management system. So basically, what we have here is I'm going to show you how to do the adjustment factor calculation, the correction factor. Then I'll show you how to do the combination of the two with adjustment and correction factors. And then I'll get into showing you how you load half the conductors can be current carrying in a raceway and the others are not. And then from there, how you would perform that calculation. We got 2 calculations you'd look at on that also. But one of the things I would point out as you're looking at this, you'll notice, and I encourage you to go look at other publications, stuff that's out there. You will not see where they break it down in these type of steps and put all the section numbers and everything. And I'll tell you why they don't do it, because it takes a lot of time to go back and look all those up every 3 years at each cycle and update those. So, just like step 1, where I'm looking at finding the amperage of the conductor, that there last year, I want to leave it on the big one so everybody can see it better. So when you're looking at that, you'd been looking at table 310.15B16. Now they've gone back to what it used to be. At one time it was table 310-16, then it went to 310.16. Then it went to 310.15B16. Now it's back to table 310.16. So it gives you an idea of why a lot of publications won't do that, because it takes time to go back and look at all those. And sometimes we'll miss one here and there. It might have been we put it in there, but when they're making the updates and changes, they may miss it because like I remember we did one illustration there one time on grounding, and they they took Article 250 and rewrote. Well, I didn't say rewrote it. They relayed out Article 250. And if you go back and look at our design book, it pretty much looks just like our design book. And but we still had to go back and change all them sections. Well, you take an illustration, it's got 30 sections in there. One could be missed, which we did miss two, I think, in when they made those changes. And somebody caught it. We went back, made the change. So yeah, when you're putting all these sections in and everything and making it easy and quick reference for you, it's important to have. Now, one of the other things, because I've been getting calls on this and everything, the illustration that we'd use for this, if you go over to electrical code discussion for awesome electricians, go to Stock Up Electrical Education, go to NEC, any of them Facebook groups, I'm going to have weekly, I'll have one calculation that I'm going to be putting on every week. I'm going to call it the calculation series. So by the end of the year, there will be 52 different calculations on there that I'll post weekly. And this could be an example of one here. And I actually show an illustration that goes with it where you fill in the blanks also. So I show you how to calculate it. Then I show you how to do it filling in the blanks. And the reason I do that is because when you want to go in, you want to start working those calculations and everything, it's all set up like this. And then it'll be in our online courses. Now, all these sections and tables and stuff you see.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
So when you look at all them sections and tables in the illustration, all you have to do is just hover above that and click it, and it'll pop up for you. So you can follow along. It makes it much easier for people that are trying to learn, but you can also use your code book with it. Now, and I'm going to ask a question here. What is the current carrying capacity of 9 number 12 AWG THHN copper conductors pulled through a 3/4 inch electrical metallic tubing? All of them are current carrying. So all 9 are current carrying. Now, I want to point something out before you get into this. You're going to go over and you're going to look at table 310.4A. We don't show it here, but we actually cover this in earlier portions of this before you get to this calculation. And we talk about this. This is where you go in and pick up the conductor characteristic properties. And basically what it's going to tell you there when you're looking at THHN is good at 9 degrees C. But if I had THWN here, I would have to use the 75 degrees C column. Okay?
Right.
So I tried, and this is important because this is where we're getting into rating conductors. Okay? So if I was looking at this and I'm using a number 12, I can use the 90 degree C column because it's THHN, it's 30 amps. But if I go in and I look at a 75 degree C column, I'm limited to what? 25 amps. Okay, that's going to change and limit the number of amps that can be put on each conductor. Okay, so
true.
Looking at this, the number 12 is good at 30 amps, and then once you figure that out, then you got to get your adjustment factor. Well, you're going to look at table 310.15C1, and you're going to go over there and you're going to pick up your different conductors. It'll have like 1 through 4 and so on, and it's going to tell you.
So you're getting that 30 degree, or you're getting that 30 amps off the 90 degree C column, right?
Yeah, and if you go over and you look at table 310.16, you're going to see 3 columns there. You're going to see the 60 degree, the 75 degree, and the 90 degree C. And when you pick that up and you look at the tables, and matter of fact, I'll go over there and pull it up, and then I'll switch over to it where everybody can see. Most people are familiar with this, but might as well keep it there so they can see.
Yeah, and the thing is that I really appreciate all the people that are like trying to learn from like these kind of videos. I think it's kind of difficult because a lot of times people go too fast. A lot of times I've heard that different code people just kind of rattle a bunch of stuff off and don't explain it too much. So then you're just instantly lost, you know.
Right.
And so here, that's where you have
Right.
the table, and so what a lot of people need to realize too is, like, if you're going off specific equipment, you're gonna go off like the 75 degree C if you have known lugs. If you don't know the lugs, you're gonna go off the 60 degree C, and if you're derating, you go off the 90 degree C. That's kind of how I remember it.
Yeah. Well, let me do something here real quick, because I want to show everybody so they understand exactly what you're going to look at here. And I'm going to pull up here. I'm going to look at 110.14C, and I want you to look at the last sentence in this. So I'm going to be right here, and I'll increase this so everybody can see it. Okay. Now, right here, as I look at this right here, I'm looking at C, and I'm going to look at the last sentence here. It says, conductors with temperature ratings higher than specified for terminations. Okay, so when you look at most of your terminations, what are they? 60, 75. Okay, so they're telling you here you can use a conductor with a higher temperature rating that's then specified for the terminations. And it says it's permitted to be used when you're applying and pass the adjustment, correction, or both. Okay, so this is where you're getting the permission to do what I'm going to show you here. Now, with that said, now let's take a look and let's go back and let's look at 310.4 so you can see exactly what I was explaining here. So if I look at this table here, I said we're going to look at table 310.41. I'm going to expand this table. Now, I'm going to come through, and you're going to see in that third column, that's your maximum operating temperature. Okay? So we're going to go down here, and we're going to look for THHN. Now, if you
That's actually a pretty good comment. David says THWN2 is 90 degrees C in both wet and dry locations, so that's a good thing to think about when you guys are running in those wet locations, because you don't have to derate your conductors. So
that is
good
correct,
comment, David.
We actually, and one of our problems, we actually use THWN2. So people, then we'll use THWN. So we've got different problems that we do like that. It makes you think about how to use these tables and where you need to go to get the information you need. So if you look, here's THHN, it's good at 90 degrees C. And then if I come down, here's THWN, 75 degrees C. And then you got the THWN2, that's at 90 degrees C. Okay? So that's where it comes from. Now, we look down here, and we've got our amperage rating. We've already looked at that. And now I'm going to look at C1 here. Go down just a little bit.
I want to say they use THWN2 for solar.
I'm not 100% sure on that. I'd have to research that. But anyway, we looked at the problem. We had 9 current carrying conductors. And if you look here, here's your conductor. So we had 7 through 9 come across. It tells you has a derating factor of 70%. Okay? So when people are asking where it come from, now you know exactly where I'm getting this information from. So now, all I'm going to do, I know I had THHN good at 90 degrees C, 30 amps. Then I had 9 current carrying conductors. My multiplier for it, 70%. Take 30 amps times 70%, and it tells you each one of those conductors is limited to 21 amps. Right. Pretty easy. It's not a hard calculation. Matter of fact, y'all that are doing NEC Deathmatch, I can't remember if it was in the first one or not, but wouldn't have surprised me.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you why just that one conductor, like typically I try to stay under 9 so I could stay in the 80% range.
Mm-hmm.
Because then 80% range, you could still use a number 12, on a 20 amp breaker. If you go to that 70%, then you push it over, so you're a little over.
Right. Now, this one is where you're going to do the correction factor, and we're routing this through an ambient temperature of 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And you've got 4 number 10 THHMs. Okay, so THHM, we automatically know that's 90 degrees C. Now let me go back here, and we're going to look at 120 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to be in the 90 degrees C column. I'm going to share the screen here, and I'm just going to tick back up to B1 right here, B11. And you come across here, you look at 120 degrees, you look on the right-hand side of the column for your ambient temperature. We're at 114 to 122 degrees. Come across the 90 degrees C column, it tells you take it at 82%. Everybody should be able to see that pretty easy. All right?
Yeah.
So I have that set up, and then I'm going to come over here back to my program, and I'm going to look and see if I got 82%. Yep, I put 82%, so you're just going to take the 40 amps times 82%. That conductor for each conductor is going to be limited to 32.8 amps. Pretty simple. Okay?
Nice.
And then you also could have where you have current carrying conductors and an ambient temperature. So I have 6 current carrying conductors. I know it's 80%, and that's over in table 310.15 C1. And then I look at my ambient temperature of 106 degrees Fahrenheit, go over, look at table 310.15 B1, and it's going to tell you 106 degrees requires a multiplier of 87%. Now, I'm using THHN number 14. That's the 90 degrees C column. I'll take it at 25 amps. So you just apply those 2 derating factors to 25 amps, which is 80% and 87%, and that's going to limit each conductor to 17.4 amps. Pretty simple.
And just a little side note on this one, from my extensive knowledge of these adjustment factors, if you're in that ambient temperature for only 10% of the run, then it doesn't have to be calculated. So like, let's just say it's like goes on a roof for like 10 foot and it's a 100-foot run, then you don't have to calculate that ambient temperature. It's only when that wiring method is in that ambient temperature for more than 10% of the run.
Right. Now, I want to show everybody this because a lot of people never seen this calculation before. So, and matter of fact, I've looked in a lot of different publications that are out there. I've never even seen them show this before. But we're going to go over and we're going to look at the table here. Let's see which one it is here because they got it marked here. It'll be B211. Here. Yeah, here's where I want to be right here. Okay. Now, let's go down and find B211 here. Where the hell is it? I passed it. B2. Yeah, I want to go right here. B211. There we go. All right. Now, let's expand this table and take a look at what it tells me I can do here. Now, you're going to see there's some other calculations down here. We're actually going to show you how to do that here in just a little bit. Okay?
Sure.
Now, when you take and you looked at the problem, let me go back to the problem here real quick and show you that so you'll know where we're at here so everybody knows what's taking place. It's going to say, what is the ampacity of 16 number 12 THHN copper conductors with a 50% load diversity located in the same raceway? Okay, so I'm going to come back here and I'm going to look at these 16 conductors. Okay, get over here. And if you look at this and you look at your number of conductors and you come down and we're telling you we have a load diversity here, okay? And that's what the heading of the table tells you here. It's adjustment factors for more than 3 current carrying conductors in a race-wire cable with a load diversity, okay? So I say I got 16 of them here with a load diversity. I come across and it tells me here the adjustment for this ambient temperature here is 70%. Okay?
So
now,
when you're talking load diversity, that means where you have like heating and cooling And
That's right.
only one of them can run at the same time, right?
That's right. That's right. It's where you
Okay.
got a load diversity. And
Gotcha.
once you get into that, then you come back over here, and it's a simple calculation. We know the number 12 was good at 30 amps because it's a THHN conductor. I take that at 70% for my load diversity there. It tells me that each one of those conductors are limited here to 21 amps. So basically what that means is you've got 16 of them in there. They're not all going to be operating at the same time. The only way they can be operating at the same time is if only 8 of those have that ampacity rating. You see what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at the next one here, this last one. Now, we're going to ask another one here where we're telling you where you're not loading more than half of the conductors. Okay? So, if I look at this, it'll ask me what is the ampacity for number 12 THHN copper conductors where there are 16 conductors pulled through the raceway. So not more than half of these are going to be loaded there. So that means 8 of these can be loaded. Now, when you go over and you look at this, there's going to be the annex there in the table, which I'm going to go back and look at and see where did we get this formula from. Now, if I look at this, let's come down here, and you're going to see right here is where you get in and you start looking at this calculation where you got the number of current carrying conductors, and then you got the total number of conductors to be used to select the ampacity adjustment factor here. Okay, so you're applying this calculation here to determine what the limit is for the current carrying conductor ampacity in each raceway or cable here. Okay,
Right.
so let's go back and let's take a look and see just exactly what it says here. So
there could be, just so everyone understands, there could be a load diversity, not just between like hot and cold, but you could have, like I've seen before, where you have a motor that turns on when people are like exiting the building, and then you have a motor that turns on when people are entering the building. So it's like in that case, there's no way that both motors could be running simultaneously.
yeah,
Only one runs at one time. If they both run at the same time, then you can't consider that load diversity.
that's right. So when I'm looking at loading more than half of these conductors, what I'm going to look at here is I'm going to determine what I'm going to do. So I've got 16 conductors pulled through the raceway, but 12 of them are actually going to be used for this. Okay, so I'm loading more than half of these conductors through here. So in other words, there's more than 8, right? Okay, because if I was doing half, I'd go back to the previous calculation. But this is where I'm going to have more than 8 conductors pulled through here.
True.
So
Yep.
you got your constant, which is 0.5, and then you're going to have your number of conductors pulled in the raceway, which is 16, and then E, which is your number that are actually going to be loaded more than half. Okay, so I'm going to take that 0.5 times 16 divided by 12, and I'm going to square root that, and that's going to give me 82%. And in that next part, that A2 there should be dropped down. But you'll have 82%, and then where does this 70% come from?
That's your load diversity, right?
That's your load diversity of the 70%, and you go grab that percentage, put it on there, time the 30 amps for the number 12 THHM, which is good for 30 amps. And once you do that percentage, it'll tell you that those 12 conductors, which is loaded more than half, are limited to 17.22 amps.
Okay.
And I will encourage anybody, go look at a lot of other publications, anything out there. You will not see those two type of calculations explained in those publications. I haven't seen it yet. So
Awesome, brother.
hopefully everybody has a better understanding, and that is everything that really you get into applying adjustment and correction factors unless I had a wireway or auxiliary gutter or something. But you can go up to 30, and once you get over 30, then you got to start applying the adjustment factors just regularly. So I didn't put those in there, but we actually have those over in our design book.
Seems like it's already time for the Willie Quiz. Let's see who we get up in here.
Tonight? God dang. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's cue it up.
Big ups to Adam from Team SOS. You guys need to go over and check out Team SOS podcast. He's awesome.
I don't think he does. I've got a couple of his publications because we always check the competition stuff, and unless he's put it in, within I guess the last 8 years. I guess the last time I bought one, I haven't seen it in his publication. So.
Yeah, I don't think Mike does a lot of that, like intricate calculations. David, like that's the thing that really I thought was really cool about the stall cups was like they have those intricate calculations where you actually know the answer. Like I think Mike does a little bit, maybe touches on load diversity, but I think he just does like the simple calculation. I don't think he combines it.
No, he doesn't do all of those. Matter of fact, it's just like if you go look in our generator transform motor book, we actually show you transformers. We even show you how to size that transformer based on altitude. I hadn't even seen that in any other publication. We have all kinds of stuff like that.
Well, apparently neither did Mark Odie.
Yeah, yeah, they were. I've never seen that before. It's like our hazards book too, and I hadn't seen this in another one either. We actually show you how to take different chemicals where they get mixed and how to go in and determine the grouping in order to determine the division that goes in. And I hadn't seen that either. So and I actually learned that from chemical engineers that were showing it to me and asked us to put it in our publication because they actually use our publication, when they get into stuff like that they want to train their engineers on. So,
well, and I want to give a big shout out to the 3 hanging tough over there on the Rumble side. Welcome you guys to the Willie Quiz. Super easy. Everyone's gonna get 100% tonight. All right, question number 1. Which airline's logo features a golden crane symbolizing good fortune in Asian culture? Is it A, Air China? Is it B, Japan Airlines? Is it C, ANA, All Nippon Airways? D, Thai Airways? Or E, Malaysian Air? Good luck, everyone. All right, so I'm pretty sure you already know this one. So,
well, you got me stumped because I know of 2 of them that have a crane, which is Japan, and then the other one I think it's Lufthansa. I've flown on both of those, but Japan's is not golden; theirs is red on the tailplane, and then others. I know China's not. I don't know about Nippon Airways. I never flown Thai Airways. I did go over Malaysian Air, but theirs is not. The only one I know has a crane on it. There's Japan, but I thought it was red. I think I'm gonna go with B.
So it looks like you're just the same old trying to copy Daniel's answers, and I don't know if that's going to be a good thing, but on this question, it is because you got it right. It's Japan Airlines, and
Isn't it
I guess
red?
maybe they must have had like maybe you're like colorblind and you see gold as red, maybe.
No,
I don't
no,
know.
it's red. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull it up right now. I'm
Yeah.
doing it. I'm doing a challenge on that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Hold on.
I
Let me take
I
this
want to
and
say
pull
it's
it up.
I want to say that I researched this a little bit. We already got a challenge flag. Sorry, people. Challenge
it is.
flag, and
It's red. It's red. I told you it was.
but it's the golden crane.
Oh man, I didn't know it's called the Golden Crane. I just knew it was red
Yeah.
on that plane because I flew on a Japan Airlines.
Dude, I'm throwing the yellow flag at your color. All right. Question number 2. The iconic kangaroo logo representing which airline was introduced in 1944? Is it A, Virgin Australia, B, Emirates, C, Qantas, D, Singapore Airlines, or E, Koala Air? Good luck, everyone.
Well, mate,
See, I told you it was easy. I knew it was going to be easy for you.
I've already flown this airline because I have been to Australia, and it's Qantas.
All right, looks like you're copying Daniel's answer again. Good thing I have tiebreakers ready for this one, but all right, the correct answer is C, Qantas.
Yeah.
Good answer, both of you guys. All right, question number 3. Which airline's logo includes a stylized compass to symbolize the global connectivity of its network? Is it A, United Airlines? Is it B, American Airlines? Is it C, Delta Airlines? Is it D, Emirates? Or is it E, Southwest? Good luck, everyone. I totally knew this was going to be like the easiest one yet for you because I knew you flew every single one of these.
Yeah. American has the Eagle. Delta has the Delta on it. Southwest has the left thing on it. Emirates has their flag. And they have the world one on theirs with the connecting lines on it. I know it was styled as a compass, but that's United. So I'll go with A.
So Daniel wants to do Super Bowl picks. We'll wait till right after the quiz, Daniel. We'll do Super Bowl picks right after the quiz. Daniel goes A, and you guys are 100% tonight. So, wow, man, I'm really surprised, man. You guys are crushing it.
So,
All right. So the signature blue tulip logo was once the emblem of which major airline? A, Lufthansa, KLM, Royal Dutch Airlines, C, United Airlines, D, Pan Am, or E, TWA. Good luck, everyone.
You know, this is interesting. I'm going to tell you how I know this one. Is back in the 80s, when you used to fly on the airlines and stuff, they still have their magazines and stuff, but back in the 80s, probably 60s and 80s, they used to take and they used to have the magazines. They'd have a magazine there that mainly all it did was talk about the airline. And they would have pictures of stuff, you know, they talk about its inception and stuff. It was just something that they had. Every airline did it pretty much. If you would fly on, there'd be like 3 magazines in the little spot in front of you, you know. And if I remember this right, I think the Blue Tulip, because when I fly out of DFW, I usually always American, but sometimes back then they had restrictions. Certain routes went to certain places, you know. And one of the big ones over in DFW, our 3 big ones, are American, Delta, and United. And I had to fly United to some of them. And if I'm not mistaken, I couldn't remember. I remember reading, if you'd had Delta on here, I'd been a little confused. But I think it's American Airlines. I mean, United Airlines. So I'm going with C.
Well, once again, you copied Daniel's answer, and you are correct. It was United Airlines. And, yeah, you're right. That was actually a long time ago. I didn't know that you were going to be so keen on that one, but...
Yeah, that's how I knew that. But those little magazines, they're no longer there. They don't have those like they used to. Now they just show you they got little cards and stuff like that. But, yeah, they used to have those on the plane. Pretty cool.
All right, so which airline's logo incorporates the silhouette of a sty lizard bird called the speedbird, originally used in the 1930s? Is it A, British Airways? Is it B, Air France? Is it C, Lufthansa? Is it D, Qatar Airways? Or is it E, TWA? Good luck, everyone.
I actually know this one.
I thought you would know all of them.
Well, the reason I know this is because I flew in there on American, but I didn't take American out of there to go to wherever I was going. Because, you know, I did stuff in Saudi Arabia and places like that, but I always flew in and took off from there. It was British Airways.
Oh, man, I cannot believe that you just copied all 5 of Daniel J's answers, and you were both correct. We have a tie. We have to go to the tiebreaker round.
I don't even know how Daniel knows all this. I'm world traveled on all these planes. I don't know how he knows.
Dude, DJ's he's a king of his own. Like, he got his 5-year cap from Kenny Electric. So, dude, you get your 5-year cap from Kenny Electric, dude, you're in. Like, you know what you're doing, like, once you get your 5-year cap over there, you know, but...
Okay, I'm amazed he knows those, because, I actually, the only reason I know is because I've actually been on them, you know, so... All right.
Dude,
so
he actually got hit up. He actually got hit up by one of the project managers the other day, and they're like, hey, what are you working on? He's like, dude, I haven't worked for you guys for 2 years. But that was pretty funny.
All right, what's your question?
All right, what on Air Canada? Who is number 15 on the tail of Air Canada? Who is it?
Well, I'm assuming it's a hockey player, and I don't know hockey, so
Maybe.
I'll just say a hockey player. That's my final answer.
All right, and Yeah, dude. Oh, dude, you framed it? Dude, that's awesome, man. I'd frame it too, man. 5 years at Kenny, dude, that's rough. All right, so for the win, Daniel, is it a hockey player, a basketball player, a baseball player? What player is it? Are you just going to copy King James' answer, say it's a hockey player, or are you going to say some other player? Who is number 15 on the tail of the Air Canada jet? So, oh, he got it! It's Eric Carter! Daniel takes the win! He wins the tiebreaker! Oh, I can't believe Daniel crushed it! He knew it! Oh, man, it's Eric Carter! It's Eric Carter! Oh, my goodness, man. Dude, King James, you just got reduced to rubble by Daniel, man. That was really good, Daniel. That was...
Y'all setting this up. I can't believe
it. Dude, I was at the airport today, and I was like, oh, man, here's the tiebreaker. You know, and I didn't even know. Like, I got home, and I was like, man, I got to get a tiebreaker, you know. And I was like, what the fuck is that number 15? And then it said Eric Carter, and it has his, like, picture of him, like, dunking, like, on the thing, you know.
I never fly anything Canada because everything goes over American, you know, so I don't.
Next quiz.
Doesn't Canada on their planes there, Canada? Don't they have the leaf on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking the Toronto Maple Leafs or something like that. That because I knew that leaf was on there. That's why I went with a hockey. I was like,
dude, that's what I thought when I saw it. I was like, who's number 15? Because Air Canada, they're based out of Montreal, you know. And big shout out to Coach Frenchie, the Hockey Nation live show. If you guys want to go check out really awesome hockey in Canada, go check out the Hockey Nation live show. But the whole thing it was like when I first saw it, I thought it was a Montreal Canadien. And so I went and I looked and I was like, who's on the Montreal Canadiens? Because the Canadiens, they're looking like they're going to the playoffs now. Yeah. They're like second or third place in the East, you know? And nobody expected them to be there. Like, they're winning a bunch of games and they're just crushing everybody. They actually beat the Lightning the other night, you know? Nobody expected them to beat the Lightning, you know? They're never supposed to beat the Lightning, you know?
Yeah.
But it's crazy because Habs are doing really good, so big shout out to the Habs. And, like, Coach Frenchie over there, I think he would have told me who number 15 was. And I didn't see no number 15, so I'm sitting there trying to figure it out, and then all of a sudden they said it was a basketball player. So that was no collusion with me and Daniel. Daniel got that one on his own. Like, I would have said a hockey player myself.
Bullshit.
Yeah. So even though you would have tied, Daniel still takes the win. 7-time champion. As always, 7 times. Always the 7-time champion. Never gonna, like, there could be a point where he becomes a 10-time champion or something. I might just at some point say, yeah, you're the 10-time champion, but it's so much fun doing the Willie Quiz. I enjoy it.
I had no idea. I just remember there's a leaf on there, and that's why I sort of thought it was a hockey player, you know. So I was like, well, there's a leaf on there. Got the Maple Leaf, so I thought that'd be it. So
yeah, Daniel says he just remembered his number was 15. Dude, I didn't even know that, Daniel. I knew the answer was a basketball player, but like when King James picked a hockey player, I'm like, yes. I was like, because I didn't remember. I was like, I know his last name was Carter, but I didn't remember what his first name was.
I remember who Vince Carter is, but I didn't think it'd be him on there. But I figured, you know, because they're so big in hockey in Canada, I figured naturally it'd be a hockey player or somebody. So, all right, let's run tool of the week. Let's get your tool going.
Let's roll it.
It's time for Tool Review of the Week. Sponsored by electrician's only tool review, and Nipex Tradesman.
We miss you, Adam. This is for Adam. Big pickle shot for Adam, man. Miss you, brother. Come back, Adam. Come back, Adam. We miss Adam on the show, so doing a pickle shot for Adam after the quiz. Awesome quiz. So, this is a new tool for 2025. It's a 6-pack, 18-volt battery charger. Looks pretty sweet for guys like Daniel that always have dead batteries because he's using the Milwaukee all the time. But like I say, I really like the design of this. Looks like it's pretty cool to jump in. Looks like it has a really cool feature that I've never seen in any battery charger before, where you put your batteries in there. It detects which one's the most dead and it starts charging that one first. So it's called a sequential charger. So basically it charges them in sequence of how dead they are. So like you could put a live, like a battery that has like 1 bar gone on there, and it'll sense that and not charge that one first. So like if your whole crew puts their batteries on there, let's say they put all 6, it'll start charging the most dead one first. Which I thought that was a really cool feature. I really like that. I don't know how it does that, but then once that battery's charged, then it'll go to the next lowest ones on there.
Right.
So it's supposed to charge them sequentially for the most dead battery to the most charged battery. And I think that's kind of good because like we really don't care in construction like how fast our battery charges or which one charges first. We don't care. We just put them on there. We're like, cool, hopefully it's charged by the time I come back, you know? Well, you go throw all your batteries on there, all 6 batteries, you come back, and all 6 are charged. That's the way this works. And it's supposed to work a lot faster for Milwaukee because, as Daniel knows, Milwaukee batteries suck, and they take a long time to charge, and they don't hold charge for a long time. But I'm just joking, Daniel, just giving you crap. But the whole thing is, I really like this product. I think it's a good thing for the industry. And like I say, if you get a DeWalt, you don't have to use your charger, so you know you wouldn't even need this. But it's just, I think, a really good product. I like the sequential part of it, and I think there's little features in there with you know, different things that make this unique from all the other 6-pack chargers out there. And I really like it. If I was going to go red, I would take this 100%. So I like it. I would recommend it.
Well, it is different. I've never seen one of those before, so you know, I mean, it's not something I'd use at the house. I don't think I'd need 6 batteries.
Yeah, it's designed for a crew to like charge all their batteries simultaneously. I think it would be cool. I think it would catch on. Like if it was me, I would do like a DeWalt one. Might be next week, but I might do a DeWalt one and a Milwaukee one and just roll them. And then whoever needs to charge their batteries, if they charge sequential, that's good. I'm actually anxious to see if DeWalt has something that compares to that, but we'll see. No, I don't know. I doubt it. I don't know. It seems like DeWalt's always behind Milwaukee as far as technology.
Right.
But we'll see.
You never know. I mean, they could have something out for you know it.
All right, so now we go to the most controversial question of the week. Everyone says it's wrong. Everyone says King James is an idiot. Let's see how big of an idiot he is if he can answer the question of the week.
Okay. When no CP for an ACR trip, certain fishing increase. Well, for there's 3 ways to look at this. You're going to go over and look at 440.22a, and for the minimum, it's 175, and for the max, it's 225. But they also took in this cycle. It's funny because if you go look at 430.52C1, they've taken in there now, they have A and B. It used to be exception 1 and 2. Well, in the 2023, they basically took what was over in 430.52C1 and put almost identically what is over there and put, instead of putting A and B, it's exception 1 and exception 2 now. And exception 1 just allows you to go up the next size, and the maximum size, if it trips based on that 175, you could go up to an increase of 225, which would be D. But the thing I would point out, it falls in line. If I'm looking at an AC unit, you should go look at those plates and stuff, and it would have the minimum and maximum size hacker breaker rating. And
there is no minimum. King James, there is no minimum size.
Well, it says minimum.
You can't say that. It's not minimum.
Well, I guess they're gonna.
I'm just repeating what I've been hearing for the last 2 freaking days. I'm like, dude, I don't want to hear you guys. I was like, dude, it's minimum starting, and they're like, that would mean that it's minimum allowable, and it's like, no, I'm not saying that. So
they literally say minimum size on the nameplate, and I guess you're going to tell all the regulatory commissions and manufacturers and everything they don't know what they're talking about either. So
it's ridiculous, man. Those guys, it never gets old. It's fun.
But that's when you look at that, that's what it states. And, it goes back to the argument, they would say, if I look over table 430.52C1, it says maximum in the table. Yeah, that's the maximum percentage for that table. That's not the maximum size. The maximum size is actually what used to be exception 2. It's now B, that say it's an inverse time circuit breaker and I'm less than 100 horsepower, I can go up to 400%. That's your maximum. So if you're going to say that's maximum there, you tell me I got 2 maximums? I mean, you can't have it both ways and pick and choose. And I can tell you this, for as long as I can think back, it's been in our publications and other ones, they called it minimum and maximum size. So now all of a sudden, as I said before, you've got the moral authority police out there that want to say what they want to say about it, and everybody should agree, even though we've been doing it that way for 30 years. I mean,
so what was your answer?
225.
Correct. So the thing that was funny about this is that I was arguing with Eric Collier about this, and he's like, oh, you can't increase it. There's no way you can increase it by 225%. And I was like, Eric, you're totally overthinking this. So like if you just went and put a 40 amp breaker on there, that's considered the minimum for starting value at 175%. Now, if you decide that it's tripping and you need to try to put a larger overcurrent device on there to try to let it hold, you can go put a 45 on there. Code allows you to go up to that 45 amp breaker and see if it'll hold. Mm-hmm. I was just like, dude, you're overthinking this, dude. It's like, it's not that hard. Like, he's trying to say that you can go up to like an 87 amp, because you're increasing it by 225%. I'm like, no, dude. I was like, you're totally, like, they're like, oh, a public input is needed for the next code cycle. I'm like, no, it's not, dude. Like, you're totally wrong, dude. Like, I don't care. That's fine. Like, you could call me stupid. You could call me all these names, but I'm not having this much trouble understanding the code.
Yeah.
It says that if it doesn't start, then you can increase as long as it doesn't exceed 225% of the overcurrent device. So if you go off the nameplate and the nameplate says 45 amp max breaker and it's tripping, you're done. You don't you don't have a code that can help you there. Nope. You can't just go to like 87 amps because the code says it's an exception. And I couldn't believe, I was blown away that these guys were like, oh, we need to get a TIA in here. I was just like, I was like, whatever. I was like, let's see if King James gets it right or not. But, like I say, once again, you are 86-1 and good record, 86-1. I want to say you're 86-2. I think you got 2 wrong, but remember the meeting room? Remember the meeting room one? You got the meeting room one.
I even explained.
You got the meeting room one wrong. You got the meeting room one wrong, and you got the AIC one wrong. So you got 2.
The AIC, I said I couldn't remember if they changed it or not.
The AIC one was out of your book. The meeting room one was not out of your book. That was a different one. So technically, you're 86-2.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good record.
Considering
it's probably just a little bit better record. It's probably a little bit better record than the Texas Longhorns, but it's all good. It's all good.
It's funny because I'm answering all those off the top of my head, and they'll say, "Oh, he got one wrong, dumb son of a bitch, and he quit teaching. He's a disgrace." But yet they'll go look it up and everything, and and I'm just doing all. And I even give the section. I'm usually close to the section where it's at. So,
dude, I never say dumb son of a bitch. All right.
They call me that. They call me worse than that, actually.
I don't do that. Like, that's not... I don't go there. The whole thing is, like, I'm actually honored to be part of, like, with the Stall Cup family and stuff, because they call me Billy Ball Cups, And I'm actually honored by that name, because I get to, chat with your pops from time and time in, here and there, when you guys are rolling around, And it's cool. Like, I like just being like, you know what? I was wondering their thoughts about this, and are you fucking serious, Snyder? They're fucking talk about that. And it's funny. Like I love when I get his reaction where he's like, really? They freaking said that?
I told him, I said, yeah. I said, this guy here, Collier, said that you take a 10-foot piece of conduit and cut an inch off of it, and the 10-foot run that's now 9 foot 11 inches. I said, now that becomes a nipple. He goes, you got to be kidding me. He goes, that guy actually believes that? I said, yeah. He goes, man, our education system has really gotten bad. He just
so I don't want to take away from Willie's 3-foot nipple business. Because what Willie does is he takes a piece of RMC, threads it together, and calls it a nipple,
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't need support, nothing. You know what I mean? Now that's Willie. Willie. He does his own thing. But he's calling it Willie's 3-foot nipples. But he's saying that there's no rule that says that he can't call them 3-foot nipples. So. That's cool. If people want to run around with 3-foot floppy nipples, that's on them, you know what I mean? But I guess Willie, he's got a pretty successful business making 3-foot nipples, So,
yeah.
That is what it is. I can almost guarantee that they're going to make an entire podcast about Willie and how stupid he is and how he doesn't know what a nipple is, But, to each his own, whatever it is, but
everybody will laugh at you.
Yeah, so it's all cool, Everyone says that we're running a fucking clown show, and that's cool. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, because we're clowning on all you guys, saying all the stuff that doesn't matter, and it's not gonna ever happen. Like, honestly. We try to cover what's really in the trade, what really is going to go down. You could sit there and say all this future things that's going to happen in the code in the next 10 years or 5 years or whatever you want to say. I don't care. Honestly, James doesn't care. We're just trying to say what affects you today. And none of that stuff that they're sitting there saying is going to affect you in any time future, because none of their stuff that has pushed through has pushed through. They thought it was going to push through in 2020. Here we are, 2025, still hasn't pushed through. 5 years and none of that's pushed through. So they could keep pushing this stuff through. They could keep thinking that the code making panel mandates things in the field. They don't. The AHJ mandates things, and it's not getting mandated. So that's where we're at. You can keep pushing your stupid garbage. We don't care. Keep it on. Keep it bringing it. You know, I'm good.
Yep, me too.
Should we do wall of shame?
Yeah, that's all we got left tonight.
Yeah.
Pop it up.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Shame.
Shame.
Shame.
Shame.
Oh, dude, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, man. Oh, man. Awesome, Matthew from the Wall of Shame group. Thanks so much for posting this. Totally hilarious. Like, I didn't even know they made a stubby that small, man. Like,
Neither. I think it's funny. It's so cold. This used to be full.
yeah. Yeah, you got me, man. You got me, Matthew. Like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, this got to go in there, because I didn't even think they made a stubby that small. Like, that's like the smallest stubby I ever seen. Like, even my stubby's like probably twice that size, you know, but.
Well, you can get a lot of leverage behind that one.
Yeah. You know, that's a good thing to say, you know, like give me a, you know, half an inch and make it hurt. All right. You know?
Dang, man. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. But it's a lot of fun doing these with you guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much, Daniel, for showing up. Thanks so much, David, for jumping in the chat. Appreciate you guys. You know, it means a lot. A lot of the guys from work were like, oh, man, I'm going to know this airline history. But come to find out, actually, King James knows almost as much as Daniel. So I think Daniel just got really super lucky. And, like, when I was sitting there trying to pick the tiebreaker one, I was like, man, what am I going to do that's going to be completely fair to people? Because I know Daniel's not going to have enough time to Google it. You know what I mean? And so he's going to have to know it. So I was like, I tried to think about what question could I ask that you guys will have to know right off the top of your head. And Daniel knew it. Daniel knew it right off the top of his head. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty damn good. Like, it wasn't a hockey player, brother. Dude, what's your vision? What's your vision of the Canadians, man? Like, come on, man. Like, they're all just hockey players, dude. That's so messed up, man. Like, you just think they're all just hockey players, dude. Come on, man, dude. Air Canada out of Montreal, man. Dude, they got basketball, they got baseball, they got the Expos up there. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
I can just say this. I've been to Canada, and all I saw were hockey jerseys. I didn't see basketball stuff.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's a fair enough argument.
I remember going there. I was probably about 35, I think. We were there. It was for 70E. We had a meeting that we did there. We were looking at something. I can't remember. With compliance with Canadian standards and stuff as it related to safety. It was almost like a field trip for the committee, but we did our committee work and stuff. And we went out that one night. We went down. I was trying to remember. I don't think they called them bars there. I think they called them pubs or something like that. But we went out to this place and had drinks, and I'd say half the people in there were wearing hockey jerseys. I didn't see no NFL or anything. And boy, that's why I always say hockey, because that's all I saw jersey-wise when I was there, and it was that part. They all wear jerseys there when they go out to the bars, or back, in the early 90s they did anyway. So,
Well, just for you, if I ever go to Canada, I'm gonna wear a basketball jersey just to be like, all right, I just lost a bet, and he says everyone wears freaking hockey jerseys, so they'll be like, what? You're wearing a Canadian basketball jersey? I'll be like, yep. King James says I'm wrong, says I'm a weirdo, and see, I bet y'all have like a lot of people like, oh, dude, this guy's freaking awesome, man. He's different, like I might even wear like a Broncos jersey, maybe, just to be like.
You ever go there? Go to a bar and see if I'm not telling the truth, or at least that's the way it used to be.
Okay.
So,
Hey, did you say bar or did you say pub?
I think they called them pubs, if I'm not mistaken, back then.
All
I
right.
just remember we went
All
into
right.
this place.
You are forgiven.
Am I right? I can't remember because I've been overseas at different places, and
I know in UK they call them pubs, but I don't know about Canada.
I think they're called pubs, mistaken, because Canada is they sort of follow. Aren't they under the crown there? If I'm not mistaken, Canada.
I
think
don't
so.
know exactly. Like, I just know they're traders from the Revolutionary War that went and
Yeah, I think they're
started
still
their
under
own.
England's jurisdiction. I think, or not jurisdiction, but part of being crowded. Because I mean, you look at Trudeau, isn't he? What do they call it? Sort of like they have over in England.
Like
they have
a parliament member.
Parliament. Yeah, they have a parliament there, just like they do on British. And
Right.
and
Well-
I think that's correct, if I'm not mistaken.
On the next Willie Quiz, see how King James doesn't know Canadian politics.
I think that is correct. I'm gonna stick by that. I think
All
I'm
right.
right on that.
Find out on the next easy Willie Quiz if King James knows Canada. Oh, dude, it's gonna be no Canada. I'm gonna have to get Adam. I'll be like, Adam, you're gonna know Canada way more than King James.
You will, because I don't know
We'll
it that
see.
well. I've been there like 3 times, but if I'm not mistaken, I could have swore it was called a pub. If I'm not mistaken. But man, I mean, you're looking 30.
I've been there one time.
You're almost looking 30 years ago. I mean, that's a long time to remember everything. So
I've been to Canada one time in my life, and my nephew has been there one time. He's like 30 years younger than me.
I've been
Yeah,
to
so-
Montreal, Toronto, and then I've been on the other side when I went there, saw Niagara Falls, and then I stayed on the other side, and I actually gambled at the casino that's there on the other side of Niagara Falls. That's there in Canada.
All right.
So,
Well, thanks for telling me all the things I could get you wrong on next week, because I will not exploit that at one bit at all. I will not exploit any of your things that you just stated to me, but I will make sure that I post all the Do You Know Canada that you know.
yeah, that's a good one. Does Canada have casinos? Yes or no? I'll get that one.
I don't know.
I know because I
Maybe.
gambled at one. I know for a fact.
What was the name of it?
Oh God, I don't even remember. It might have been Niagara Casino.
On the next Willie Quiz.
It might have been Niagara Casino. I mean, it's right there on the other side of Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
So
Well, there
I
might.
just
Hopefully
remember
there's
it being
not.
there. And
Hope-
it was dry inside. I mean, it wasn't like the extravagant, like you're in LA or something. I mean, in Vegas, I mean, even the LA casinos, hell, even the ones in Oklahoma are nice. I mean, we got one that is just across the Red River called World Star, I think is what it's called, or something like that. But you go in there, they've got different areas, Paris, the China. I mean, or Asian. They got all these different sections down through there, and they're all decorated out and everything, because you get all them Texas people going over there I mean, it's a nice casino. I mean, it really is. And
Nice.
the funny part is, I remember going out there when they first opened them up there, and it was just a big tent that they had. I mean, it was just a big wide tent, and all it was
Oh, like
standing in-
DIA.
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting. And you go down there and you gamble then, and it was across the road from where they bought the property and built the casino. Now the extravagant one, and it's grown so much there. Now they even have 2 18-hole golf courses there. So that tells you how nice
Wow.
that place is. So,
Okay.
and-
All right. Well, I really appreciate you giving me all the information I need to like stump you on the Willie Quiz, because it was really awesome to watch you get crushed on the tiebreaker tonight, because you've been the one that's saying you need a tiebreaker. Now all of a sudden, bam! Daniel J just crushed you on the tiebreaker, and
I had a good answer.
yeah. Hey, if Daniel would have said a basketball player, he would have still won.
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, for him to actually say the actual name, like, it blew me away. Like, to me, honestly, I was blown away. I was like, what? Like,
I don't know how he knew that. I don't even know how he knew all
yeah,
that.
basketball player Vince Carter, and then he said, just remember he was number 15, kind of a lucky guess. And to me, that's crazy, because I saw it on the tail, and I was like, right away, I was with you, King James. I was like, he's got to be on the Montreal Canadiens. He's got to be on the, Toronto Maple Leafs. I was thinking and I was thinking it was maybe a hockey player that died or something.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I was
think
sitting
so.
there. I was like, man, that's on Air Canada. I was like, what is that? What is that? What is that? And then, like, 10 minutes before showtime, I went and looked, and it was all Eric Carter.
I knew it had the Leaf on it. I did know that much. But the only reason I knew that's because I've been into airports, and, I always flew back American, but I always saw the Leaf out on there. I mean, when you go back when I traveled so much. I mean, I saw all the different planes and stuff out there, at the different places. And I've flown a lot of different commuter ones even, so to get to certain, like I had to take a commuter over. I used to take American, then American quit doing it, but we used to take a commuter from Chicago over to Hilton Head. And we had a lot of meetings over at Hilton Head, South Carolina, and we took commuters to get over to that airport. So, I've done a lot of traveling. So, all right, let's wrap it up.
I think I found something that maybe struck a nerve in you a little bit, because maybe you know something about it, and maybe there's some things that you have to learn. But I want to have a big shout out to Southwest Airlines. They gave me my hard hat sticker today, so I'm so proud. And I got Southwest Airlines hard hat sticker. Like I say, it's so cool to like work for a bunch of different contractors and everything like that. Give you hard hat stickers, but man, Southwest gave me that heart. I got a heart on now on my hard hat.
I knew theirs was heart because I've flown them too.
Yep. But who knows? We might actually do something and stump you guys. Stump King James. Like, we're not going to stump Daniel because Daniel is the 7-time champion again. Dude, Daniel's like 2 weeks in a row now, so that's pretty awesome, Daniel. But King James bitch last week said he needed a tiebreaker. We got the tiebreaker, and Daniel pulled through, got the tiebreaker. So maybe we'll just start doing that from now on. Really appreciate y'all for joining. Thanks so much, David Inghart. Thanks so much, Daniel J. You guys all have a great week, and appreciate you guys joining. Thanks so much, King James. Awesome content.
Awesome, and everybody have a good week. Well, some of y'all will see Monday.
As always, remember, make every day an easy day. Peace, everyone. Deuces.
Peace out, everybody. Have a good week.